This training is about kicking the habit of mindless eating. And you're really in for a big treat because this is going to be yet another out of the box thinking kind of a training like I did last week that will leave you with transformation, not just a bunch of useless information. You know, I am going to kind of take you through getting into the mind of a coach. Now, we're going to start off by, has anybody ever seen the movie Die Hard? Don't roll your eyes. I know this is, I actually have grown to love this movie, but if you just shown this to me off the bat, I'd have rolled my eyes and been like, okay, swipe. No, because this used to be my ex-husband's favorite movie. We would always have to watch it every Christmas. It was like a Christmas family tradition. And I would just be like, oh my gosh, it's so much mindless violence and blah, blah, blah. I have actually, when I was creating this live today, I have actually realized that what happens in this movie is exactly what I do in coaching sessions. And my job as your coach is not to tell you what to think or feed you a bunch of useless information. No, I'm actually going to help you get transformation by teaching you how to think. And in this movie, the main character, John McClane, who is Bruce Willis, is attending this company Christmas party with his wife in this new building. And all of a sudden, you know, this team of bad guys invades the building and takes all of them hostage. Now, what does this have to do with mindless eating? Well, I'm glad you asked. Mindless eating is the perfect example of a belief system taking you hostage. The very nature of mindless eating is that it sneaks up on us, right? It's mindless. We don't often have any control over it until after the fact, when the smoke clears and then we have the evidence of what just happened. And then we're just stuck with all of the guilt and shame and the aftermath of that. Well, most of our habits that are driving us absolutely mad are mindless habits. They are habits where we're not engaging our conscious mind. We are going into autopilot, and that habit is taking control of us. And in this video, I'm going to use this movie to illustrate exactly how to defeat your mindless eating habits once and for all. And this goes also for mindless video game habit or mindless drinking habit or any mindless habit where you are specifically trying to turn off your brain, zoning out at the TV, anything like that, where you are specifically trying to tune out. This is going to be unlike any training you will have ever experienced. Not only will it be fun and engaging because we get to look at a really, actually pretty awesome movie if you think about the way that it all is. Just the first one, by the way, you know, just the first movie, I believe it was the best. But by the end of it, you will actually know how to John McClane your mindless eating habit. And you'll have all of the tools and instructions to implement it successfully. You will also never look at this movie the same way again. Trust me, you're welcome for that. I stand before you today as an emotionally empowered and conscious woman when it comes to food. I'm able to go to movies without this compulsory need to buy a bag of popcorn that I used to have. I'm able to go out to bars and dance clubs with my girlfriends and have the best time while only drinking water with lemon. And I'm able to attend weekend family dinners every Sunday and eat anything I want without overeating or gaining any weight whatsoever. Now, but I can tell you it wasn't always that way. Rewind to 2017, okay? My separation and divorce happened during the fall and winter months while I lived in Casper, Wyoming. If anyone's ever been to Wyoming, the weather is rough, okay? Cheyenne and Casper, Wyoming are only about 2 hours directly above and below each other, and they are known for being the 4th and 5th windiest cities in the US, with a windy, bitter cold. During the fall and winter, is the worst of the wind. There's a good reason that Wyoming has the highest rate of alcoholism and suicide in America. And I think both of those are tied to the weather. I kid you not. Well, this winter in 2017 was no different. It wasn't fun sitting in my little apartment at the women's shelter by myself as I had to transition from being primarily responsible for all logistics, emotional support, and the basic overall success of my children and husband, the primary person, to now all of a sudden being a single woman, having my children only half of the time, living by myself. And also, in addition, losing my entire in-town support system in the divorce. I'm in an admittedly super unhealthy and codependent way. I made my husband and my kids and his career as a pastor, our entire church family, my life. And when I chose to leave him, I chose to pretty much burn my entire identity and support system to the ground. I was so busy focusing on all of their needs for so long that this cold and bitter winter felt like I had just been kicked out of the back door of my own party, standing in the alley, in the dark, all by myself. I felt so alone. And that's when I discovered Game of Thrones. Okay, I gotta know, are there any Game of Thrones fans out there? If you are a Game of Thrones fan, please type in GOT into the chat box because you are my tribe. I love Game of Thrones, okay? The adventurous scenery, the surprising action-packed plots, the evolution of each of the characters. I love everything about that series. And a friend of mine had given me her box set of DVDs so that I had something to do with myself. And so there I was, alone in this cold and bitter apartment in a cold and bitter weather outside, and it was harsh. And I needed something to help me escape feeling sad. So I would binge those Game of Thrones. And I would binge that series with every bit of free time that I had. I really would look forward to it. Honestly, every evening and weekend that I didn't have my kids, I looked forward to the joy that it would bring me, so much so that it kind of became like a celebration of singleness for me. You know, in anticipation of our evening adventures together, I would take care of dinner for myself by running through a Burger King on the way home. And then I'd drive through the liquor store to get a bottle of wine because, you know, everyone in the series was always drinking red wine. And I even made it a funny drinking game with myself. And I'd take a sip whenever one of the characters did, right? Oh yeah, that's a really fun drinking game. It made the weather, the loneliness, the uncomfortable feelings just melt away. I was in hog heaven. But my body didn't love it so much. I gained a lot of weight in those next few months. And by the time I finished season 6, I realized that I was 200 pounds. And according to my budget software, I was also hemorrhaging money because of the cost of doing the food and the wine was, you know, alone most nights was killing me. So I told myself, no more. I can't afford to get fat. I will become unlovable and I will be alone for the rest of my life. Okay, hashtag childhood trauma belief systems. That's a whole other video. Okay, so just put that comment to the side for a minute. But that's how I felt. I felt like I can't afford to get fat. I'm gonna be alone. And it terrified me. So I needed to stop watching TV and I start going to the gym after work instead. And I would just eat salads every day and every evening. And I, until I felt back, like I could get back to normal, to what I considered to be normal at the time. And I did that. And it certainly helped, but it didn't feel nearly as fun as the adventures of Game of Thrones. No. So, but after successfully bullying myself back down to what my quote unquote normal size was, at least for that time in my life, I decided it was then safe to stop bullying myself and start another series because I was missing that sense of adventure. And although I can't remember what that second series was, it could be a number of different ones that I've watched during that time, I do distinctly remember that the minute I pressed play on the Netflix, the very first thought to pop into my head was, I need a glass of wine. But I didn't have any because I was on a diet, remember? I was trying to undo the Game of Thrones damage. But no matter how much I tried to watch whatever it was, my brain would not leave me alone. So I finally said, you know what? I've been good. I got the weight off. It's not going to hurt me. You know, I can go get one bottle of wine and some Burger King this one time. It's been, you know, maybe a month at this point. So that's what I did. I got my celebration supplies. I sat back down to watch the show, eating and binging yet again. The next day, went back to continue watching the show, and the same compulsion hit me almost immediately. I could really use some wine and some French fries. That's when it finally registered. Oh my God, I have a problem. Yeah, okay, I get it. It took me a minute, probably much longer than most people, but I think I finally had that aha moment when I realized that that voice is not going to go away. It was connected to the TV and it wasn't going to let me go. I was an addict. And you know what the worst part about it is? That was exactly why I had left my husband. He was an alcoholic and I judged him for that very heavily. But what I didn't realize is that habits and addictions often creep in on us unknowingly and often innocently. But when they take hold, by that point, it's often too late. And as I then became aware and surveyed the damage of this destructive mindless eating habit, I realized that my blood pressure, my weight, my sleeping habits, all of it had roots in mindless eating that I had been doing for years up to that point. No, Game of Thrones did not cause this. My divorce didn't cause this. The weather didn't cause this. This pattern had been happening sneakily my entire life. And I was only now, at the age of 40, realizing just how destructive it was. Yes, that took a lot for me to admit right there to myself that this had been going on and that, yes, I was an addict. But let me tell you what, ladies, you're in the right place here today. If you struggle with compulsions to eat every time you do a specific activity, like maybe watching TV or going to a movie, you're in the right place if you tend to multitask while eating, squeezing your meals into your workday or on the road, or maybe carrying on conversations with other people during your meals. And then by the time you're all done, you don't even remember tasting your food or eating it, and certainly didn't enjoy it at all. And you're in the right place if you tend to rush through your meals, shoveling food into your mouth quickly, and sometimes end up eating way too much and feeling uncomfortable and frustrated with yourself afterwards because you overate and you sabotaged any progress that you had just made. Because I have been there in all of these. My mindless eating was contributing to all of that. And in this video, I'm going to share with you the full solution that blows all the other solutions on the internet away, because I will put it in a way that gets you the transformation, not information. So first of all, there are two different things whenever you're giving somebody a solution. There's a what you need to do and a how to do it. I'm going to give you the what, and I have made for you, easy to download, totally free, the what to do. These are 7 different strategies for ending mindless eating, okay? If you want a copy of this, drop the comments 7 steps into the comment section. But here's the thing, just giving you this list will do you no good. This is the what to do, but you don't know how to implement it. You can read this and it seems like you might know, but trust me, there's a special way to implement this. As a coach, I don't tell you what to do. I teach you how to think. This is why I'm not just going to give you the box full of wooden hardware for the bookshelf you ordered. No, you need the instructions in order to put it together. The box of supplies is useless without that. And trying to build it will end up wasting time, money, and energy, trust me. And that is what this video is, the instructions for how to put the shelf together. The exact instructions to help you work smarter, not harder, to get the results you want quicker and more efficiently. And then I will also offer you a way to take it to the next level. For those of you who are actually serious about cultivating long-term change and don't just want a quick fix, cookie cutter solution, I will tell you exactly what you need to do to take this to a long-term level, shift your identity, and get rid of mindless eating for good, not just the short term. So stick with me because here we go, okay? Because by the end of this video, you will know what and how to become consciously aware of how much food you are consuming just to avoid overeating, to avoid those feelings of guilt and shame and powerlessness. And you will also become consciously aware of what you're eating so that you can actually make healthier choices and stop sabotaging your own progress. And you will become consciously aware of what it takes or what your food tastes like so that you can enjoy the experience of eating. And that will end up rewiring your relationship to food. Sometimes we are told as women that our desires are things that we should be ashamed of. Okay, our sexual desire, our desire for cravings, our food, that those are things to be afraid of. And so a lot of times we put food in our mouth so quickly so that we don't have to enjoy it because we're taught that enjoying something is bad for us. Well, I'm going to give you a new perspective on that and help you rewire your relationship with food because food is enjoyable and should be enjoyable. But most importantly, at the end of this video, you're going to have a clear-cut step forward. Does that sound good? If you agree with all of that amazing transformation, let's get started with the solution, shall we? Go ahead and write the word solution into the comment section if you're ready for that clear-cut step forward to end the guilt, the shame, the poor relationship with your food, everything. Write solution into the comment section because I can't wait to share this with you. This is going to be so much fun. Okay, so first of all, in last week's training, in case you missed it, let me know. It was about cutting the caffeine habit. Now, a lot of people probably did miss it because they're like, I don't want to cut the caffeine habit. I don't want to watch that video. But here's the thing, what happened, okay? I started off going down one path in that video and realized this is useless just to give you guys a bunch of information. No, I don't want to tell you how to or what to think. I want to teach you how to think. So as I told you in that last video, my goal as your success partner in this group is not to tell you what to think and feed you more information. We live in a high fact diet in this culture. No, I want to teach you how to think like a coach, and as we discussed in that last training, the value of looking at the situation from the Google Earth view. If you would like to figure out the backstory on that story, it's a good one. That's in the last training. Let me know, type in coffee habit, and I will make sure to send you a link if you can't find it. But there's a value in looking at the situation from the Google Earth view, okay? Because as a coach, when my clients come to me with their struggles, I am literally hovering over the building of their mind in my little helicopter, circling the building, witnessing the chaos, seeing that there are people running around bumping into each other and jumping out of windows, but not able to see what's going on inside the building. Well, when you have a mindless eating habit, you need to somehow bring mindfulness to that habit. But the problem is it's mindless. it starts mindlessly. So this is easier said than done. Okay, that's why I say this is a lot like someone who's hijacked your behavior. You know, this is like someone who has taken your thoughts and feelings and behavior hostage, because they have. That someone is your belief system. Okay, that someone that has taken over the building is your belief system. Quick coaching recap. I spent a lot more time on this in my other videos, but when it comes to your identity is a series of different belief systems that you've created about the world and about your place in it and about other people and everything. And each of those belief systems have a bunch of specific thoughts that trigger feelings, that trigger actions and habits and behaviors, that then reinforce those results. And now by the time you are in your middle ages, those belief systems have been so proven over and over again, they are like stuck. They're there. They are controlling the show. And even though 80% of these beliefs were subconsciously planted before we were even 6, everything you have in your life, your bank account, your relationship, your job, what you eat, your relationship with food, all of those things are a result of those automatic programs in your subconscious that are being triggered day in and day out. Mindless eating is a subconscious program that's triggered first by something outside of us. So there's usually some sort of external trigger, but then that trigger, a belief system. It triggers an internal trigger. And that then starts this whole process, this whole program. And that's kind of like, you know, in Die Hard, we have, okay, well, first of all, I'm going to use Die Hard because this is a great example of how this works. And to illustrate this solution, often it's easier for people to remember a process when you pair it to a metaphor of some kind. So Die Hard for us is going to be our metaphor. This story is going to help these understandings stick. So trust me, this is going to be the best way to teach this. And I'm going to use the example of the movie Die Hard. And even if you've never seen this movie, it's okay, because there will be some very concrete parts of the movie that I will explain, and hopefully explain them good enough that you will understand it. If you don't, please let me know, because I would really probably like to use this in the future, and I want to make sure that this makes sense. So let me know if you ever have any questions or you think that I didn't explain something good enough. I would appreciate that feedback. But trust me, you will have a whole new appreciation for this movie. Okay, so imagine you are John McClane in the movie Die Hard. You are the main character. Okay, so a team of bad guys has taken over the building where you were attending this Christmas party with your wife, right? But you were in the bathroom. Okay, you were in the bathroom doing your thing, and all of a sudden you hear gunfire and people screaming. Okay, when you have a mindless eating habit, it's because a belief system has taken your habits, your behavior hostage. Okay, you can hear the gunfire, you can hear the chaos, but that, like, this is the main bad guy. In case you don't know this movie, this is the main bad guy. He is the belief system. Okay, each of these guys on his team, they are the thoughts that go along with that belief system, because belief systems are made out of lots of different thoughts. Okay, he's running the show, but they're following his orders. Okay, so what do we need to do first? Okay, imagine, put yourself in that situation. What do you think that we need to do first? We hear the gunfire, we hear the chaos outside the door, we're in the bathroom. What do we need to do first? Go ahead and put into the comment section what you think we need to do first, because I'm super curious and if you remember the movie, you might be able to get the answer to this. What do you think John McClane does first? Okay, so go ahead and put that in there. I'm really curious to see if anybody has the answer to that. I'm going to check the comment section really fast and see if anybody's joining me. Hi. Yeah. Go ahead and, yeah. What do you think we do first? Well, first, he gets a safe distance from the chaos, right? He can't just like barge out there and be like, oh my, my goodness, somebody's screaming, I'm going to rush out there. He can't just do that because that will put him in danger. He won't be able to help anybody if he is one of the hostages. So the very first step in killing the mindless eating habit and just defeating the mindless eating band of bandits is to get a safe awareness. Okay, we need to distance ourselves from that chaos by getting awareness and cultivating curiosity. He won't be able to do anything if he has a gun on him or if he gets killed. He has to get to a safe place so that he can gather awareness of what's going on, because all he knows is he hears chaos. The thing is, John and his place in this is his role in this movie, is the perfect person for this job. And so are you. Because as soon as you bring awareness to your problem of mindless eating, you have 3 things that are an asset to you. First of all, you have a unique position. You're inside the building. You're able to manipulate to an extent what's going on. He has lots of different situations where he's diffusing bombs, he's killing bad guys here and there. He's even communicating with the main dude. He's inside the building, messing up their plans. He has a unique position by being there. Second of all, you have a unique perspective. You know your history. You know about any childhood traumas or people in your life that have influenced you coming up to that point. This information about you is your skills. Just like he was the perfect person in this movie because he was a cop. He was trained in tactics and strategy. This opportunity of you being on the inside of your situation can open up your solutions better than somebody just being on the outside. Finally, you have an emotional connection to the outcome. In the movie, John's wife was one of the hostages. He couldn't just give up or run away or exit the building. He had to stay inside the building. He had to make sure that the hostages lived and that the bad guys were defeated. In the same way, you have a strong emotional connection to the outcome. Your life, your happiness, your future depends on you fixing this problem. That strong emotional connection is what's going to give you the ability to tackle it. That's why my Phoenix Fire starts with a clear and compelling vision. You have to know exactly what you want that's different, and it has to be emotional enough to give you that push to do some risky and uncomfortable things. Finally, after he gets his safe awareness, okay, what does John do next? Go ahead and put into the comment section step 2 and tell me what you think step 2 is for John in this situation. What does John do after he's able to get a safe distance from the situation so that he's not one of the hostages, but he's still in a really strategic place? What does he do? Step 2 is gather information. He needs information. He needs to identify the details of what on earth is going on and who these people are that have taken over the show. So one of the first things he does is he starts with a plan to get a radio. He wants to spy on them, okay? And so he needs to gather details, and that radio allows him to do reconnaissance. He's able to identify that they're foreign, even though they're trying to talk, to everybody with, American accents. He finds out they're from Germany or something like that. He also finds out how many different people are involved, or at least who are the main players that have a radio. He's also able to hear a little bit about their motivations and who's really in charge and how that leadership goes. For us, in our situation, once we are able to get curiosity and a safe distance away from the chaos, this means cultivating curiosity, noticing and becoming specifically aware of the times that this is happening. What's going on when this triggers? you know, not jumping into judgment and just, you know, being mad at ourselves for the wrappers around us after it's over. No, instead, don't start with judgment. Don't start with blame or shame. Even if we do fail, survey the wrappers and be like, oh, isn't it interesting that when, you know, this happened, when my husband said this one thing to me, I wanted to go and grab a Snickers bar. Hey, that's a real life example. Okay. For whatever reason, that one comment triggered this automatic program. Isn't that interesting? We have to spy on ourselves, sometimes from after the fact, unfortunately, when it comes to mindless eating. But as we get good at cultivating curiosity, it starts to become easier and easier to actually spy on the bad guys when the program is happening. And that is just like grabbing one of those microphones or one of those radios and starting to listen to what they're talking about. Second of all, it helps to identify the true motivation. Kind of a cool twist of this movie is as he's going through all of this, he realizes that they're pretending to the outside world to be just hostage, taking people for hostage and trying to get a ransom. They're pretending that, but in reality, they're really trying to rob a safe. They're trying to rob the person who owns this building. Okay, they're trying to get some very specific things that are in that safe. So by spying on them and getting awareness, he's able to identify their true motivation. And I'll explain why this is super important in a little bit. But when we are able to bring awareness to our real motivations and not get sucked into believing that it might be this or it might be that, we are able to be more intentional about how to defeat it, right? We're able to be a little more strategic with our action steps. And you know, we have to ask ourselves, and this, when this happens, this is us asking ourselves, what am I trying to accomplish when I'm doing this? What is my motivation for eating this, you know, Burger King and drinking this wine? What am I really trying to do? In my example, my payoff, what I was trying to accomplish was that I was avoiding my pain. I was numbing myself. I was escaping to another reality in Game of Thrones. You know, the movie, the drink, the food, all of it was a method of escape. The food boosted the serotonin levels. The drink numbed my conscious awareness so that I was just, you know, loose and calm. The game itself pulled me out of my reality. It was all escape, coping mechanisms. Once I saw it for not just what it was on the outside, not just a movie and a drink and a food. No, once I saw that it was a coping mechanism, I could then identify where else that exact same coping mechanism came popping into my life in other areas. I found that in addition to mindless eating habits, I also had mindless spending habits. I would sometimes make impulse buys just to escape pain and discomfort. I would just go spend time at Walmart when I was uncomfortable. True. I also had mindless people-pleasing habits. And I would burden myself with super, you know, boatloads of responsibilities just to make other people comfortable, because making them uncomfortable and saying no caused me pain. It made me uncomfortable. Getting to the root of the game that we're playing changes our approach entirely. Okay, so that's why it's really important to find out what our real motivation is. Next, after they end up discovering that he exists and who he is, he has to then open up the lines of communication. He's got the radio at this point, and he starts communicating with them, but in a very strategic way. Okay, first of all, he ends up establishing rapport with the bad guys. He doesn't want to give them too much information because he doesn't want them to know where he is, and he doesn't want them to know that his wife is there, and because then that would put her in danger. So he has to perpetuate this image that keeps the bad guys feeling like they are in control and he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, if they knew that he was this badass cop, they might take him a little more seriously. They might think that he knows, and if he ever lets on that he knows their plans, well, then they would adjust their plans. They would adapt to that situation, and he doesn't want them adjusting their plans. He needs to make them feel safe to continue doing their plans while he is trying to sabotage the plans. And we do this in mindless eating habits by starting to explore without triggering, our own brain booby traps. We can do this by journaling about the situations, by meditation, by talking to friends, processing through it with a friend, trying little solutions here and there, seeing if anything fits. But there are some limitations because we have to be super strategic. We are stuck in this building. We don't want to trigger those brain booby traps every time we try to make a move. And that's what leads me into the last of the 3 steps that you need to execute this. And that is get help from someone outside the building. His ability to save the hostages in this movie is limited by his lack of resources, by him being super outnumbered. There's lots of those guys and only one of him, and his need to stay safe and keep those hostages, especially his wife, safe. So he's got some limitations that he's dealing with by being in this situation. So he chooses to partner with people and ask for help. And he calls the police. They send over this dude. The dude surveys, he can't see the chaos. He's a little oblivious, thinks it's a prank call, goes on his merry way. But then he does something really big to get attention and draw awareness to the problem. And by doing that, he's able to come into partnership with people that are outside the building that have the resources that could help him. Now, in this movie, there are 3 people that come to quote unquote help John in this movie. There is the beat cop that he originally, was a little oblivious, honestly, a very cool, lovable guy. The beat cop, his name is Sergeant Al, I think. Then there's his boss, the police chief, which if you've ever watched this movie, you hate this guy. He plays his part very well. And then you have the FBI who ends up coming in and taking over the whole situation. So let me go through exactly why each of these guys, like one of the 3 is the perfect person for the situation. I'm going to start off with the 2, obviously, that are not the perfect people for the situation. First of all, the police chief, okay? He's a dude that thinks he knows everything. He's barking orders, telling John to just sit and be quiet and let the professionals handle the situation. He's not valuing his opinion whatsoever or his experience or anything. This police chief represents so many of the doctors and therapists that I have seen in my life. And this is not a ding on doctors or therapists. I'm just saying my personal experience going to doctors about my physical chaos and my emotional chaos, all of those things has amounted to a lot of people telling me what to do without really asking me what's going on, not getting and not partnering with me in that process. Because John had a unique perspective. He was inside the building and not in the chaos, but he was still in the building. He had that unique experience of his background, and he had that emotional connection to his wife. So he's the perfect partner, but yet this guy takes over and just says, this is what you need to be doing. This is exactly why I don't want to just give you the 7 strategies. This is exactly why, because I don't want to be that police chief that tells you what to do, because I can guarantee you're not going to be successful and I'm going to look like an ass, just like this guy. Instead, you have the second guy, the FBI agent, who then comes in. He also looks like an ass, takes over the place from the police chief, and he represents a cookie cutter solution. The FBI then come in and just start implementing their standard operating procedures for all hostage situations, because they think, after talking to the hostage negotiators, they think they know what's going on. They think, oh, this is a hostage situation. We deal with these every day. This is what we're supposed to do. Boom, 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 boom. But the problem is the bad guys knew what that cookie cutter program was. They knew exactly what the FBI was going to do, and they wanted it to happen. That's why they were pretending to be hostage people. They were using the strategies that the FBI agents were going to be using against them. For instance, the FBI, the first thing they do is cut off the power. Well, the bad guy knew they were going to do that, and that was going to be the way that they were able to disarm and open the safe. Our brain knows cookie cutter programs. We've been on so many of those yo-yo diets, ladies. We know this. We need to have something different, something that is unique and partners with us. And that's where we get our beat cop, our success partner. Okay, Sergeant Al represents a success partner, which is someone that has three important qualities. First of all, they have the compatibility. They are someone outside the situation that shares your life experience. They value the fact, he valued the fact that he was a cop. He knew what being a cop was, what specific values that brought to the table. He also had a connection. He valued the position, the perspective, and the motivation that John McClane had, so that he could partner, and he understood the strategy of being in that situation. Better than bossing him around and telling him what to do, he actually had a connection with John McClane. And last, he had good chemistry. They vibed together. Their personalities complemented each other. That's not always something easy to find, but it's super important when you're partnering with someone, because you need to know that your personalities vibe well. And so together, John and Al go on to execute little action steps that end up finding out what the real motivations are, derailing all the plans for the bad guys, and killing off each and every one of those bad guys that make up that belief system. Success, right? So Phoenixes, now you get to become the hero of your situation. So you can see now that the entire solution involves everything John McClane did. You need to get to a safe perspective about your problem. You need to identify, gather that information and identify the details, the unique details that only you can really get. And then you need to get the right kind of help, an outside help that has the three things that you need: connection, chemistry, and compatibility. And then after you have those things, after you've done that part, then you can execute the what's of what I'm offering you here. And that is these 7 different ways to tackle mindless eating. So if you, again, want this download completely free, go ahead and put into the comments section 7 steps. And the reason why I do that is because Facebook does not like it when we send links, when we put links in Facebook that lead to outside places, because they don't ever want people leaving Facebook. So this is the reason why I have you put a comment. Okay, if you put a comment, then I can send it to you over Messenger. And that way, Facebook's not going to block my ability to give it to you. So you have to put a comment, 7 steps, and I'd be happy to give you this. But now, as I promised, you have the opportunity to level up. Okay, so as a certified health and life coach with life and job experience defeating destructive habits, I offer my help as a possible success partner. You see, I have the knowledge, the experience, and the resources to help you be successful, not only from what I've learned, but because I've done it. I've practiced it. I practice what I preach. And so if you would like to see if we have the right chemistry, let's have a chat. That's just one of those things where you have to just sort of test the waters. You have to have a conversation to find out if the chemistry is good. So I invite you to drop the comment BRAVE into the comment section, and I would be happy to send you a direct message so that we can chat and see if we're a good fit for each other. Now, it's kind of like Bumble. You have to make the first move, ladies. I'm here. I'm ready. I got my profile up. I'm ready to bring value into your life, but I'm not going to be that super creepy dude that just hits on every woman that he knows to see if she's even in the market for a man. No, my profile is on the app. You know what I do. You know where to find me. You got to swipe. You got to make the first move. You got to let me know that you're interested. From there, it's just a conversation. No selling, no exchanging numbers or bank accounts, just a normal human conversation to see if we have the right compatibility, connection, and chemistry. That's it. You know, that is how we're going to be successful. And I want you to be successful truly from the bottom of my heart. So I have one last question to ask you, ladies. What ahas, insights, and appreciations did you have from this training today? Did it bring you some transformation? Did it blow the lid off of the way of what you thought this was going to be? Because it blew my lid off when I was writing it. So I hope that this was super beneficial for you. I would love to know what ahas, insights, and appreciations you had from this training today. Because my name is Noi. Yes, it rhymes with joy. And that is my ultimate goal, to bring you joy and see you succeed. Take care.